Hey Transcenders. Today I want to talk about mortality and our last day on this planet. Now I know it sounds dreadful, sad, and fearful in certain ways, but the more that I think about it, the more that I immerse myself into life, I find it to be very inspiring. Now when we think about death, when we lose people, the people that we love, when we think about our mortality not existing on Earth as a physical being, these might sound very negative and actually very discouraging. But I found it to be motivating more than discouraging. I think what mortality adds to our lives is finding meaning and purpose in living. Because imagine if we lived on forever. Nothing would have as much meaning, and we wouldn't necessarily have a greater purpose. There's nothing that would give us that push to achieve greater and better things. Just imagine it for a second that you would live on forever. What would your purpose be? What type of meaning would life have? Our mortality adds meaning and purpose to our lives, and it could be a great motivator for all of us. When you think about your goals and dreams, think about the things that you want to achieve in this lifetime. Sometimes we get off track. Sometimes we do the things that are necessary. But thinking about our mortality, thinking about we have a limited amount of time on this planet, can give you a huge push to get back on track, to do the things that are necessary to do, and to live a meaningful and purposeful life. Now I think it comes down to two things when you think about mortality until we reach our last day. Number one is, what kind of person have you become along this path, on this journey? How do people talk about you? How do people perceive you? And number two is, how many people have you touched? How many people have you impacted and loved? Because this will also determine how you're being perceived on this earth and around you, the people that you love and people that love you. And when you think about these two things, you start seeing the perspective of life. It's not your job. It's not the things that you do, but more so life itself. Knowing that you have a limited amount of time on Earth, and how do you spend doing it? Now, a great exercise that I like doing is imagining your last day. Imagine that you're on your deathbed, and who is there with you? Are you surrounded by friends and family? Or are you surrounded by only the doctors and nurses? That is only if we're lucky enough to live healthily until we get old and we're able to die gracefully and peacefully. But just imagine yourself in your deathbed. Who are you surrounded with? Your friends and family? Maybe only the nurses, the doctors, or no one? Once you think about this, it gives you a bigger perspective on life. What we truly want to focus on. Because if you think about it, if you only focus on your career and your financial goals, then you are sacrificing from the relationships that you build along the way. Deep and meaningful relationships. On the other hand, if you only focus on deep connections and relationships, then you're sacrificing from some of your financial goals as well. But in totality, it gives you a perspective of what is truly meaningful in life. So determine that for yourself. And when I look at my life and think about my deathbed, my funeral, I want to be surrounded by the people that I loved, the people that I've impacted. And it truly changes your mindset on how you want to live each and every day, what type of lives you want to touch and impact. And when you're procrastinating, when you don't feel like doing things, thinking about your funeral truly gives you perspective on the things that are necessary for us to do. So don't think about our mortality as a negative thing, as a dreadful thing. Let it inspire you, let it motivate you to do the things that are necessary to make a huge impact. And there's a quote where it went something like this. When you were born, you cried and the world rejoiced. So live a life so meaningful and purposeful to where when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. Live a life of meaning, live a life of purpose. Let your mortality, the limited time that we have on this planet, inspire you to do great things, to make a big impact on this world, to set the future generation for success, and leave this world with a big impact and with meaningful, purposeful life. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next video.